Breaker Crunchers, welcome to issue 66 of Couch Crunchers, where we're trying to determine if we want to take a nap during the movies or if we're extremely excited. With me, I have got Sam, the movie mechanic. Say hi.
Heyo.
And we have got Tyler, Captain Awesome.
How's it going?
Back from the dead there, man. We haven't seen you in 2 months? It's been a while.
Yeah, getting to that.
Yeah. Well, cool, man. We're excited to have you on. We mentioned last week, Tyler is not gone. He's just been really busy with some other stuff, but we're glad you're here, buddy.
Yeah, glad to be back, man.
And speaking of Tyler, I was talking to him and another friend of mine earlier this week, and I'm really excited about it. We're planning on going to E3 next year, and I'm amped, man. I'm amped.
Yes.
So,
I have not told my wife about that yet, but
does she watch?
It's a ways out. Does she watch
the show? Unless she watches the show, I think you're safe. My wife sure doesn't. I can say whatever I want. She'll never know unless someone goes and tells her.
Well, if a husband makes plans in the woods. If a husband makes plans in the woods, are they really real?
Ooh, I like that.
That's a good question.
All right. Well, this week we are excited to talk about a few different things. And as our listeners know, we always like to start off with Fab or Flub. If you don't know what Fab or Flub is, it is a segment where we discuss whether or not we think some headlines are fabulous or flubulous. So this week, we're going to start off, and it's not really a headline so much as we just want to talk about Area 51. And I think, Sam, you have been following it more than anybody else. So have they found aliens yet?
Well, that's a good question. As far as I could tell, the Naruto Dash crowd hasn't been able to penetrate Area 51's defenses despite their months of preparation. It seems like out of the 2 million people who signed up, they had about 2,000 people show up. They were marching in formation, practicing for their approach, and Come the actual day, there were only 75 people standing in front of a gate, guarded by 3 armed guards, and they decided they weren't going to do it. They couldn't do it.
That's funny. Yeah, I saw some headlines about it, and the Naruto thing was really funny. Where did that come from? The whole I know what the Naruto run is all about, but why did people start doing that?
Okay, so the guy who initially, kind of as a prank, decided that he was going to assemble this horde of people, said that they were going to Naruto Dash past the guards, and that was kind of the signal that it was actually just a gag, right? It was just supposed to be a gag.
Yeah.
But a lot of people took it real seriously, and so they did actually. There was a news clip where the newscaster was standing in front of this open dirt lot, and some kid just Naruto dashes right behind him.
I saw that. Yeah, that was freaking hilarious, man.
It was so funny.
This whole Area 51 thing has been so funny, and I saw people online that were like, what the heck, man? 2 million people RSVP'd to this event, and only 150 actually showed up.
Yeah. I mean, kudos to the people who went through with it. Kudos to the 150 people who actually had the guts to stand in front of the gate, and also the sense to not actually storm the gate. So there's no fatalities. That's the main thing. Everyone got to go home happy.
Yeah, I mean, hey, if you've got some time to kill, you can burn some vacation days, and you live in New Mexico, sure, go have some fun, go be dumb. But I can tell you right now, I don't even live that far from Area 51. I was not about to go down there. You know what I mean? No, I'm good. I mean, it's probably 8 hours, but that's not that far of a drive, But I'm good. I don't need to go there. Anyway, thought we'd just give a little update on Area 51.
Yeah, here's our Couch Cruncher salute to all you Naruto Dashers.
Salute. All right, well, let's get into the actual news, because that's not really a fab or flub so much as just a funny tidbit about the world right now. The fact that even happened is just hilarious. All right, well, the first thing we're going to talk about is something I personally find very exciting. Tom Welling and Erica Durance, who respectively were Clark Kent and Lois Lane on Smallville, are returning for the Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover that CW is doing later this year. What do we think about this?
So for me, because I loved, Smallville, I kind of don't like it. I kind of feel like it's a flub for me.
Really?
That's an interesting turn.
Yeah. So
Yeah, that was an interesting take on that.
the reason being is because I feel like they're too good for the CW.
But it was on the CW though.
Well, yeah, but the current
That's why
CW. So, like, for example, the last crossover that they had Lois Lane in it. So they already had her in it, and it was played by the redhead from Grimm, right?
Yeah, I don't like her. She's a really bad Lois.
Yeah, she's not really a great actress overall.
Yeah.
But the only reason that she was in the show at all, she had like one line, and all it was for was to talk about, the supposed wage gap.
Yeah, she was very politicized, and that was
That was the only thing she talked about, was how Clark Kent makes more money than her, which I don't think that's ever been a thing. Like, even from the original Superman, like, she was like the top person, like Lois was always like the top news reporter. Like, there was no indication that she didn't make the most money, So
yeah.
it's like I'm like afraid that they're going to take these characters and throw them in, and just for pandering, purposes, and that's it, because that's what they've been doing, and I don't like it.
Well,
So
I don't think that's what they're going to do, but I get your concern because, yeah, that Lois thing was just annoying. Like, whether you agree with that political side of things or not, that's not why I watch these shows.
exactly,
I've said that on the show before. I don't really want to see politics in my superhero shows. Granted, the comics do bring in political stuff. It's just it's not something I want to see. I watch that to escape from the world. I don't want to see more of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So and that's been a big thing, and then honestly, like, until they do the crossovers, because the show Supergirl is so super hyper political, and until they do the crossovers, I feel like the other shows aren't really bad, when with concern to that, like.
No, they're not. They do a little bit. They do it enough. It's not over. Like, Arrow did an episode about gun control, and it was good. Like, I felt like it covered both sides of the issue really well, and I didn't mind it. It didn't bother me at all.
Yeah, and then but once they start doing these crossovers, and they bring the Supergirl show into it, and they start expanding that universe, then it just becomes more and more and piled on, and it's like, no, let's just have a cool crossover. Like I don't want.
Well, I think last year's crossover for the most part was very good. Like, that was my favorite thing CW did last year for their shows. So I'm excited for this. I think it's great. What do you think, Sam?
I loved Smallville. I loved it so much, but it did have its shortcomings. We never really got to see Tom Welling put on the Superman suit.
Not really.
They had a clip at the very end, like the very last clip, where he's in the Superman suit.
Yeah, there's a CGI shot of him flying through the sky, which isn't even him. And then at the end, when he opens up his jacket and you see the S. And the Grizzled Geek is saying he better wear an S. And I agree. Like, I don't want to see him unless he's freaking Superman. I want to see him regardless, but I want him in a Superman suit.
Yeah, and I would love to see the fans finally get what they deserve from Smallville, which is Tom Welling in the suit, being Superman, with some heroics. One of the most frustrating moments for me from Smallville was the battle against Doomsday that they had teased for a whole season. And the final battle took place off screen. Clark Kent pushes Doomsday underground, and there's some sound effects, pop, 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 and then they erupt from the ground, and the battle's over, and Superman wins. It was like, what? Come on! So it is. There's Smallville, as good as it was, it did leave some great moments on the table that we didn't ever get to see. So I'm hoping that they do justice to the fans. They give us what we're after, which is Tom Welling, full regalia with the S, as Grizzled Geek is saying. Also want to have Lois Lane. I mean, Erica Durance is such a knockout. I mean, that's like my high school crush for sure.
Yeah,
that's what we want. We want to see Tom Welling in full gear. You had posted that to our social media earlier today.
Yep. Yeah, this picture, if you're not watching on YouTube and you're just listening, it's a fan-made picture by Spider Monkey. It looks like 23 of Tom Welling in the Superman suit, and it looks amazing. Like, it looks so good. And this is what I want. Like, out of a Kingdom Come Superman, he kind of looks like a Kingdom Come Superman, which we've already received confirmation that Brandon Routh's is going to be that. Granted, I mean, his could be too, but I want to see him in the suit, and this looks amazing. I would absolutely love this. And if you are just listening and not watching, make sure you go to any of our social medias and you can see this picture. It was posted today on the 21st, Saturday, September 21st. So check that out. Really cool fan art from Spider Monkey 23. So anyway, I'm going to take that off the screen now. But yeah, this is what we want to see.
Yeah, so I'm going to go. My heart says fab because I'm hoping that because this is such a big event, they're going to put the budget behind it. They're going to give the fans what they want, and that they know what the fans want. I mean, that's why they would call Tom Welling and Erica Durance in the first place. And hopefully Tom Welling gets that dad bod under control and he can start.
Well, I just want to make sure we talk about some of these comments here because I'm very happy that our very own Matt from Absolute Geek is talking about your chair this week, Sam. He says it looks like you're not on the toilet, that you're in a proper chair. I'm a little disappointed because the toilet sounds were absolutely a highlight from our last show.
Well, there's a blog out there called The Rules of Life, and it says you get 24 hours to make the same joke as many times as you want, but then you got to let it go.
Well, I don't want to let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Anyway. And then he also says that Tom Welling's going to be in a Superman t-shirt that he got from the discount rack at Walmart.
Well, that might fit the dad bod.
Does he have a dad bod though? I mean, he looks really good at Lucifer.
He does have a bit of a dad bod. I mean, I don't know. Last I saw him, he had a dad bod, but
I mean, when he was on Lucifer, he was ripped, but that was about 2 years ago. So I mean, things can change.
Well, maybe he's gotten it under control, and maybe he's kept it under control in anticipation of getting called to put on the suit again,
or really for the first time.
Well, I'm excited to have Tom Welling on. This is a massive fab for me. And Erica Durance. I thought she was a really good Lois. You're right, Tyler. Like, she did play another role. She's Supergirl's mom on Supergirl. But that's fine. Whatever. You can play two different roles.
No one batted an eye when Chris Evans went from Human Torch to Captain America.
I mean, this is a little different because it's literally the same like TV universe. But you can also make the argument of those are different worlds. Yep. So, yeah.
I'll make that argument.
Tim says Thor had a dad bod. Why not Soups? Good point, Tim. I agree.
You got a good point. It did work out for Thor in the end, didn't it?
Actually, that'd be pretty funny if he came out with a big old belly on him and he's just drinking a beer.
Super dad.
Yeah, super dad. Exactly. But yeah, dude, I'm stoked for this. I love Smallville. You're right, it had its issues. The dark side thing at the end was pretty crappy. But anyway, let's move on to horrible news. Luckily, it's a rumor, but there is a rumor out there that Princess Bride is going to get a remake. Thoughts?
Carrie Elwes said it best on Twitter. He said, "There's a shortage of perfect movies in this world. It would be a pity to damage this one."
I loved that. That was a perfect tweet, and I agree with him wholeheartedly. Like, this is a flub for me. I'm not one to like hate reboots. Like, I don't really mind all of the Disney and live action remakes, but to be fair, those offer something a little new because it's live action instead of a cartoon. What is there to be gained other than money from a Princess Bride remake? Because in my opinion, there's nothing to be gained. It is a perfect movie. There's nothing to improve.
I don't know that they're even going to make money, honestly. Like, there's so much anger over this. Like, if they decide to do it, like, I don't know that anybody's really going to go watch it. But, yeah, I mean, I saw Carrie Elwes' tweet, actually, and I I responded to him that I would sooner destroy a stained glass window than ruin a movie such as this.
Yeah. Sure.
I love it, and there's a lot of comments on his tweets about that. Like one of them, reboot. You keep using that word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Or
yeah.
just the straight up boo.
Yeah, boo, boo. I'm not a witch. I'm your wife. I'm not a remake.
Yeah, I really I mean, I even went so far as to read the book it's based on.
Uh-huh.
It's called The Princess Bride, the Good Parts version, and apparently it's based on an older book, and the author realized that his dad didn't read the whole book. Like, he left out a whole bunch of crap. The guy's name was William Goldman, I think.
Goldman and Sachs?
No, not the same Goldman. But, I mean, maybe they might be related. I don't know. But and so it's called the Good Parts version because his dad actually just left out 80% of what was written in that book, which mostly genealogies and stuff. But in the book, there's not a pit of despair. There's a zoo of death. So, I mean, I might be interested in seeing a zoo of death, but do I want to see the whole movie remade just so I can get the world's deadliest spider on one level and then a pack of hyenas on the next level? And then that was basically the concept of the zoo of death, is you have varying levels of animals and each one more deadly than the last. So as they,
my wife and I were talking about this earlier today, and we were like just making jokes, like, who would they cast in these roles? What are you gonna have The Rock be Fezzik? That's like something I'm thinking of. Like, you can't, or they'd CGI somebody to be as big as Fezzik, and that would suck. Like, I don't know. I don't want to see this at all.
Yeah, I think it's my verdict on this one is a flub. I really don't want to see this movie redone. It doesn't need redone. Who cares that the sets and the props are obviously a soundstage? It doesn't matter at all. I mean,
no, it is the most fun movie. It is one of my favorites ever. And it's timeless.
And the fact that the ROUS is so bad makes it amazing.
Yeah, and that's another thing we talked about. Like, I don't want to see a CGI redone version of that. It's awesome as is.
Yeah.
The only way it could be redone is if it was like a high school production, right?
Oh,
if it was like just the fans reaching out and getting in touch with like the stars and the stars lending a hand or lending.
That would be fun. That's just like a fun, lighthearted.
It's like an homage to the original.
Peter Dinklage for Fezzik. Also, Matt, I love this idea of me playing Lex Luthor on Crisis. Most people probably don't know this because I've never brought it up, but I actually really enjoy acting. I just haven't done it for a long time, so I would be really down for that. But that's not going to happen. I do have the forehead of Lex, but I don't think
you'd have to shave your face, though, and your back.
No, I'd have to be a bearded. No, my back needs to be hairy, damn it. Hair. All right. Well, Princess Bride remake is a stupid idea. Max as Lex Luthor, great idea. Peter Dinklage for Fezzik, hey, I'd honestly be more okay with that than The Rock. I mean, Peter Dinklage played a giant in Infinity War, and he actually looked good in that.
He was a dwarf. He was still a dwarf in that movie.
Yeah, but he was massive. He was huge.
Yeah, that's true. But he was
technically
still a dwarf. Technically still a dwarf.
Technically. All right, well, let's move on to our next one, if I can pull up the right screen, which is that NBC is releasing a new streaming service called, wait for it.
Drum roll.
It's going to be amazing. You guys are going to love this. This is the best streaming service name ever. Peacock.
Oh, come on. Peacock?
Yep, not even a joke.
That's such a dumb name.
That is the stupidest streaming service name I could ever think of. I don't know which one of us posted it on Facebook earlier this week. I think it was Lance, but he said that. He's like, this is the dumbest name for a streaming service I could ever think of. And it is. Like, I get it. They have some cool stuff to put on their streaming service, like Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Cheers, Downton Abbey, Everybody Loves Raymond, Friday Night Lights, Frasier. Like they've got quite a few things. Parks and Rec, Office, I think actually is in this list. Like I get it. No, not I think it is on this list. Like they've got some good stuff, but what is with that name? Peacock?
So Peacock.
Like why?
I don't know, man.
I don't.
They're just trying to stick out.
They're getting the headlines.
that's what guys do at the bars too.
True.
They're peacocking.
No,
it's so disappointing to me too that like everybody has to have a streaming service, which I know we've talked about before, but man, it's like I'm trying to find room in my budget for all these streaming services.
I forgot the solution for that, Tyler. You get a co-op together, and everyone pays for one service, and everyone kind of, in order to get in, you have to pay for a service that everyone else uses.
I thought you were just going to say Pirate Bay, but
no, I've been putting Unknown Reaper's comments on the screen because I actually didn't realize that, but it does make sense that Peacock was the mascot of NBC for years. So I guess it does make sense. But I think it's stupid.
We all know what it's coming from. NBC's logo is a peacock. We understand that that's.
Yeah, I honestly never noticed that until this moment.
What? Max, come on.
Okay, so not everyone.
I didn't realize that.
Okay, almost everyone. Almost everyone. Yeah. No, Peacock makes sense. It's still a dumb name.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I mean, do you guys even have any more thoughts on this? Because I don't even want to give this the justification of more time.
Yeah, we can be done.
All right. Well, then I'm going to do two things in the video game world. One of them I didn't prepare you guys for, but I did mention this earlier on the show, but that Tyler and I are going to be going to E3. So on the note of E3, they have actually said that they're going to be changing up the format of it a little bit. So a few years ago, they started inviting just normal people rather than just media to E3. So that was a cool change.
Yeah.
And they've been kind of expanding it ever since. And this year, they've decided, well, it's not official yet, but it's fairly official. Like it came from like their earnings call type thing, like about a month ago now. They're planning on making it more of like an event for fans. They're opening it up to 10,000 more people, and they're going to be adding kind of like not Destiny, like Disney style fast passes, so you can have designated times to go play these games. Because really, like if you go to E3, the show floor, I haven't been yet, but like we said, we're thinking we're going to go next year. Well, not thinking, I'm going. Whether your wife says yes or not, Tyler, that's up to you and her, but I'm going. Anyway, but it's kind of like a video game theme park in a way. I mean, not really, because there's not rides and stuff, but you're waiting in line to get to play these games that are early versions of the game that other people don't get to. And that's exciting for someone who's really passionate about video games. Like, ooh, I get to go play the new whatever games they're going to be having there. Like probably Halo Infinite is going to be there. Like I get to maybe play a little bit of Halo Infinite before it comes out the end of next year. Heck yeah. Like that's exciting. And the fact that they're adding in these, like fast pass type things is kind of cool, so that you don't have to wait in line for 4 or 5 hours. Like I was listening to a podcast where they talked about how the Nintendo stuff, because they usually will focus on like one thing each year. If you want to play the new Nintendo game, you wait in line all day, just all day. And that's not fun. I mean, that's the other part of this though. They are going to be adding like entertainment. They're calling it Q-entertainment or something like that. So line entertainment. And that is cool because like I understand that there's going to be lines still, whether or not you have fast pass type stuff to go play these games. And that's good. Like there's going to be some entertainment while you're in line. So I'm very excited about this. This is a real big fad for me. But I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts.
I think it's cool to have more people come to these things, but I think in order to get in, they should have to compete in a Wipeout style obstacle course.
You know what? They did
I'm
that.
down for that.
They did that in an E3 thing. It was like not Wipeout, but like an Assassin's Creed course, like parkour course. You didn't have to do it to get in, but they did that.
Yeah, anybody who can get through the course can get in.
I can't go, dang it. I'm in real bad physical shape. That would suck. Take time off work, fly to LA. Ugh.
Yeah, you might have to do a few more push-ups next.
You know what? That might actually motivate me.
Yeah,
Yeah, you got time.
but letting more people in, 10,000 isn't an inordinate amount. It's not like 100,000 where there's going to be so many people that the concourse is saturated. So I think it's good. It's a fad.
Yeah.
I thought
Matt's
10,000
saying
sounded like a crap ton of people.
it is, but it's a big convention center.
It's got to be. Yeah, I mean, like when we think about like this past Comic-Con we went to,
Phoenix.
oh my gosh, like when I first got there, like you got to I just hope they organize it well. When you're adding in 10,000 more people, like that's such a logistical issue. And like we went to this last Comic-Con, it took me like 20 minutes just to find where to get my bracelet to get into the con, like because they made it so hard. And like the people working there didn't even know where it was, you know?
I mean, Phoenix Comic-Con is probably the worst example of how to deal with the logistics of a convention or an expo like that.
Yeah.
Because they just don't manage it very well. But I'm sure. Let's see, E3 is in LA. Is that at the LA Convention Center?
I believe so. Yeah.
That's a much bigger convention center than Phoenix. It can accommodate a lot of people, a lot more people, and I'm sure that they have the staff, they have the know-how to keep the security line moving, and also the registration. I don't think it's going to be as big an issue. I think your logistical. I mean, maybe it is a logistical nightmare. I don't know, but seems like I had to do something at the Anaheim Convention Center earlier this summer, and it was easy peasy.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know. As long as they handle it well, like I'm all for having more people because that means I have more of a chance of getting a ticket, So, so that's great for me. But
Well, Tyler, it's really not getting the ticket that's your obstacle. It's getting permission from the lady.
Yeah.
You know what's funny though? You say that, but that's a legit thing, man. It's so funny. You live your whole life as a kid, and you're like, I'm so excited to be an adult, and I don't have to answer to anybody. And then you're an adult and you're single, and you don't answer to anybody, and it's really exciting. And then you get married, and you're really excited about it because you love this person, and then you answer to them. But like you should answer to each other. Like my wife runs big purchases by me too, and I'll run big purchases by her. This one I didn't really run by her, but she's been telling me for years that I need to go on a guy's trip, and I've never done it. Like she goes out with her friends on a trip every couple of years. I haven't really done one other than one time I did a road trip to Vegas to go watch a band that Lance and I really like. But this is like I've been wanting to do like a freaking vacation with some buddies for a long time. So all I had to say is, hey, I'm planning on doing this, and she's like, okay, cool. Because she's done it much.
Yeah, for me, it's not going to be as much the money as the time off.
No, fair enough.
Yeah, but
so you got to come work at my place, man. I got like 30 days a year. It's freaking awesome.
You do? Seriously? That is awesome. I get like 18. I think.
So I did a week in Arizona earlier this year in March, and then I did 2.5 weeks in Europe. And I'm doing 3 days for Thanksgiving. I'm doing 3 days in Arizona in December, and I've had and I'm also doing a week in a few weeks to go to Disney World. So yeah, I get a lot of time off. It's freaking awesome. I love my job.
Great. Congratulations.
That's super cool.
So come live up here. Come on. You just bought a house. You're ready to move.
Yeah, I've actually bought
barely got that room on
last like 13 months. So
Matt says a road trip with Lance sounds worse than watching paint dry.
We'll tell Lance you said so.
No, we'll keep it a secret. I know he doesn't listen to the show when he's not on. All right. Well, the next point of video game news I want to mention, and I don't know how familiar you are with Final Fantasy, Sam, but I know Tyler played it a lot. Final Fantasy VII, I mean. I know you've
my
obviously
only
heard of it.
experience with that game is breeding chocobos.
You know what? That's a pretty
What
good
else do you
theory.
need? What else do you need?
So we're taking a road trip back to 1997 here real fast before we move into our next topic, which is at Astra. And we're just going to talk about the fact that Final Fantasy VII Remake is officially coming out in March 3rd. I'm so excited. I'm using some of those vacation days from next year I already have 2 days off, honestly. I got the Tuesday it comes out and the Wednesday after, and I hate taking middays. I hate taking midweek days off. It like bugs the crap in me that I like work for a couple days, take a day, work for more. I don't like that. So this is a sacrifice. No, I'm just kidding. I'm super excited about this game, but what I wanted to talk about is that they've confirmed that they're going to be coming out with a classic mode. If you've played the original Final Fantasy VII, it was a turn-based RPG, and this new one, so far what they've shown, is not going to be that. Now, me personally, I don't care. I don't want a turn-based RPG. It's freaking 2019. This game came out 22 years ago. Like, I don't need turn-based. Like, that's an old style of gaming that I don't really need. But I think it's cool that they're bringing in the option. So, like, in that regard, it's a fab that there's going to be an option for classic. I don't know if I said that. I'm like all over the place. They're bringing a classic game mode to the Final Fantasy VII Remake. It's not a true turn-based mode. It's essentially a mode where you can turn it on, and the AI that usually runs around like slashing, or like if you were controlling it, you'd be slashing your sword or doing whatever attacks against the enemies. If you turn on classic mode, the computer will do that for you. And then when your ATB bar fills up to do special actions, you can pause the game, pick those actions, and execute them. So it's not like true turn-based, but in another regard, like you get that opportunity to kind of just be more of a backseat, controlling the main heavy-hitting parts of the action. And I don't know, I think it's a fab that the option's there. I'll use it just to test it out, but I'm not really that excited.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that a lot of people were there. I mean, I wouldn't say it was anywhere near the majority, but there were definitely a significant number of people that were a little bit disappointed that the game wasn't going to be turn-based.
Yeah.
So it was very smart of them to add that in, and I think that it wasn't a huge difference from what they're going to have. You know, they feel like they could implement that system a lot more easily than making it full on turn based. You know.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah, so they did it in a really smart way to appease a lot of people, I think. So I think they did a really good job.
So I'm going to show you guys, this is my background for my second screen, which my monitor doesn't work, but it's still set up as a second screen. So now I can show you my desktop background, which is Final Fantasy VII. And this game is looking amazing. And I don't want to take too much time on this because we do try like to not talk about video games as much. Like we've kind of transitioned to more movies and TV, but I'm so freaking passionate about this game. I just had to bring it up. I'm moderating. I've got all the power.
Oh man, it's gone straight to your head.
I'm so excited for this game. Like it looks beautiful. And growing up, like I was thinking about this memory. So I'm going down to Arizona for Christmas time because Star Wars comes out. And for my brother and I, that's like our favorite franchise to enjoy. And I was like, you know what? I've got some time. I've got a little extra money. I'm going to fly down to Arizona so I can watch Star Wars in person with my brother. And I'm really excited to do that. Well, Final Fantasy VII is probably the only other thing that is as significant to my brother and I. I think you know this, Tyler. Like we played this game so much growing up. Like I've probably played Final Fantasy VII 20 times all the way through. And that's not even an exaggeration. And a lot of those times were with my brother. I remember a vacation where we went to Canada to visit my cousin, and we spent like 2 full days, like not sleeping, just playing through the entire game on our cousin's PS1 to see how quickly we could do it. And it's like a 30-hour game, so it took a long time. But that's like what we did on this vacation where we were there. And so I bring up the Star Wars thing because I've been considering, I'm not going to do it because this is a logistical nightmare, but my brother doesn't have a PlayStation 4, and I don't know that he's going to be able to get one to play this. And so I've been considering literally like packing up my PS4 and on those days that I'm taking off, flying down to Arizona so that he and I can play it together. Like, because like that's like, you know what I mean? Like those emotional connections that you get out of a game. So I don't know. I just wanted to bring that up because this is such a special like thing for me. I'm really excited for this game to come out.
Yeah, for sure. That sounds like you ought to get together and do a speed run and stream your live speed run of Final Fantasy VII.
Maybe. If I could figure out cheat codes, because I don't think people would want to watch my live 20-hour stream.
I don't think the game's going to be as similar to be able to do speed runs.
Kyle says, don't do that. Don't go to Arizona with my PS4. All right, I won't do it, Kyle, just because you said. All right, cool. Well, I don't think I let you share your thoughts yet, Sam, on that one.
I will abstain because I'm not really familiar with Final Fantasy VII, but I am supportive of chocobo breeding.
Well, the
chocobo husbandry.
All right.
But I'm just a little sad because I'm not going to have a PS4. So,
yeah, that does suck. That does suck. I'm glad I have one. Oh, and it sucks because when they originally announced it, they made it sound like it was coming to PlayStation first, but that it would come to PC and Xbox, because that's what they said. Play it first on PlayStation. Nope. They've said now it's not coming. It's a PlayStation game.
Unknown Reaper says to buy me a PS4.
I think he's talking about my brother.
Yeah, you know what, Max? If you're handing out PS4s, you might as well get everybody.
Nope. I did get a promotion at work a few months ago, but I don't make that much money. I can't just go handing out PS4s.
All right. Well, it was worth a shot.
I can buy me a PS4, but I did that a year ago. That's not true. I bought one like 2 years ago, but then I upgraded to a Pro because I was like really wanting 4K because I'm a snob. Like so now let's move into what we're talking about. We're talking about Ad Astra today, and
hang on. Let me get my pillow. Let me get my pillow and blanket.
Well, yesterday we were texting, and my wife was out with some friends for a girls' night, and Lance was talking about The Martian. Getting his blanket and so and so I decided to rewatch The Martian. Anyway, onto my point about 4K. I don't own that one in 4K, and I almost just decided not to watch it because I wanted to watch it only in 4K, but I still did. Anyway, yeah, Sam clearly has thoughts about Ad Astra, so let's talk about that.
I think we should probably start with. All right, I'll go ahead, but. Let's start with the positives. One, I think the last movie that featured moon pirates was a James Bond movie. Was it Moonraker? Moonraker had moon pirates. I think that's the last movie I've seen or that I know of that had moon pirates.
Okay.
So the return of moon pirates was a pretty big moment in cinema history with Ad Astra. I was pretty excited about that. I also really love that they recreated the Red Bull space jump right in the first 5 minutes of the movie. That was very exciting. You know, he tumbles from this space antenna from the upper atmosphere, parachutes all the way down to Earth with debris falling around him. That was very exciting.
That was a cool scene.
That was a really cool scene. And then I also loved the surprise appearance of a couple of space baboons, which is another thing I haven't seen in a movie ever. But these really cool scenes, because of the way the movie goes, they seem very random. They seem very kind of unrelated to the story, unrelated to the plot. But they were really cool to watch. And that's kind of where my positive reviews of this movie end. I watched Brad Pitt stare out of a window for the better part of 2 hours. I watched him. I listened to him. I listened to him talk about himself or his character for 2 hours in voiceover. I didn't see him say those words. He just is doing voiceover the whole time. And the big payoff was he was going to go rescue Dad, right?
Hold on. Just in case no one's aware. Spoilers. Because it sounds like you're about to get into some spoilers. So
okay, he's gonna go find Dad, and it's a big moment. He hasn't seen his dad in 30 years. It's a big moment. It's the moment in the movie, and the payoff is his dad looks at him and he says, I don't know why you came. I don't really care about you.
His
And
dad's an a-hole. His
I
dad
was
is an
like,
a-hole.
I was like, okay. And he's like, I know, Dad. I know that you don't love me, but I still love you. Can we go home? And it's like, okay. What's going on? What is going on? I mean, the baboons, I thought the baboons were going to be something. I thought it was going to be like a metaphor for something. I was like, is the baboons like, is that going to be his dad? Because the baboons kill people. They're very violent. They're very aggressive. They're very powerful. And they end up killing another person in the movie. But Brad Pitt escapes. And I was like, okay, well, maybe this is going to be like a symbol for his encounter with his father. His dad could be, violent and powerful and whatever. But no, it was just fizzled. Like at the end, I was like, that's it? That's all you got for us? I sat here for 2 hours. I kept my eyes open the whole time. I was good.
Hold on, though. Backing up a little bit. When we find out that the movie's about him going and finding his dad, and we know that his dad is Tommy Lee Jones, was anybody else thinking, we got to look in every outhouse, hen house?
From the future.
No, I was not thinking that at all.
No.
That was my first thought.
My first thought was that they had Donald Sutherland and Tommy Lee Jones, who have both played astronauts in Space Cowboys. And I was like, oh, okay, so I see what they're doing. They're trying to get the old gang back together.
And Liv Tyler, who has played a woman who left her husband behind.
Yeah, she reprising her role from Armageddon.
Except for with a lot less screen time.
She's like, freaking again?
Yeah, she was like not in it at all. I'm like, man, why did you cast Liv Tyler? That was like actually a disappointment for me. I was excited to see her because I like her, even though she sucked in Lord of the Rings. But other than that, like I liked her and stuff.
Stop that,
dude. Okay, no, I'm not going.
All right, hey, let's stay focused. This is not a Lord of the Rings podcast. We're doing
Astra. I can't yet. I have to address this. Arwen, when she's being a bad A, is cool. But the love story between her and Aragorn, especially in the extended edition, is terrible. Peter Jackson is the worst at love stories ever because Tauriel and freaking Keeley is awful as well.
Tyler, just breathe. We're not about that right now.
Hobbit.
We're not about that right now. Come on. Just breathe.
You can bash
Save it for another time. Save it for another time. We can't be here all night.
All right, fair enough. We'll move on from this because I could have a whole podcast about the Lord of the Rings. All right. So, Tyler, let's hear your thoughts. Or should we go with mine because I'm positive and get your negative ones last?
Yeah, let's get a mix-up. Come on.
All right,
you go, Max.
I loved it. I loved this movie. I thought it was super good. It's funny that so we've had a little text conversation going and we try not to talk too much, but we're very passionate about our feelings on this one. So we couldn't help it. The things that Sam and Tyler were talking about liking are the things I disliked the most. That's not entirely true. I didn't mind the space baboon part. I didn't mind the space pirates thing. Those parts were cool, but those were some of the least cool parts of the movie for me. I just loved that it was this very character-driven story about Brad Pitt. There's really not even that many characters in it besides him. And, well, not Brad Pitt, but his character. And I really enjoyed seeing his character develop and grow. And
what's his name? What's his character's name?
I don't know.
It's not even memorable enough to remember the guy's name. It's Brad Pitt.
I think his name was Luke Skywalker.
Okay. Now I have to find out. I can't remember his name.
No, it's Roy McBride.
Is that what it is? Roy McBride? Yeah, I think you're right.
Roy O'Bannon.
Roy O'Bannon. Yeah, Roy McBride. You're right.
Terrible name for an astronaut.
But you're right. The ending was a little anticlimactic, but I don't know. It was kind of weird. I kind of liked that. I went into this movie with very little expectations. I don't want to say low expectations. I watched the trailers. I was excited to see it because I like space movies. Interstellar is actually probably my favorite movie ever. Arrival, I know it's not in space, but it's got that like more semi-grounded sci-fi feel. That's another one of my favorite movies. The Martian's really good. I really liked First Man. I enjoy this like genre. Arrival isn't really the same genre, but I just love that movie, and I wanted to say that because I love it. But this is kind of my genre, and I didn't really have any expectations. I've heard other people online say they really didn't like it because they were expecting an action movie. They thought that the trailers really like displayed this as like an action-driven space story, and I guess I didn't get that vibe from the trailer. But I loved it. It was fairly slow-paced and in a good way for my tastes. The cinematography I thought was beautiful. I loved Neptune and the rings and how he was going through that at the end. I loved going to the moon, going to Mars. I think I was saying this a little before the show. I think they were trying to go with this idea that capitalizing on space travel to the moon was a bad thing. Like having it being commercialized would be a bad thing. My opinion, that's cool. I would love to do that. I'm sitting there seeing that there's an Applebee's and like entertainment and all this stuff on the moon. And I'm thinking to myself, it's not like we can go outside. There's no oxygen. There's no like atmosphere that we can survive in. So yeah, why not give me like cool attractions to do on the moon where I can still see it? You know, so I'm like, it was funny because I really think they were trying to portray that as a negative, and I was like, that's a positive. I would love to have like this tourist society of space travel, except for the fact that when he asked for a pillow, they told him it was $125. I'm sure hoping that the value of the dollar has gone up because that's a whole heck of
I was like, that must be inflation.
Yeah, because they never really say what year; they just say the near future. And that's another thing I liked about it. Like it was the future, and you could see that in like some ways, like their cell phones were a little bit different and updated, but it wasn't like crazy sci-fi. You know, even like the space travel was fairly similar to what we're already used to seeing. I mean, from like even the 60s, like it really hasn't changed much in most movies that we've seen that are based around like this kind of space travel. And I was reading about that, and the director was saying that was deliberate and like making it a reality of like space travel is extremely like it needs to be very safe, it needs to be very structured. It's not about looks. Like air travel, we can make our planes look really slick and really cool, but he feels like, and I kind of tend to agree, that with space travel it might take a long time to get to that like sleek, cool look. It would probably be more functional over like cool looking. Does that make sense?
Sure.
So those are a lot of my positives. I really enjoy this movie. I think it's one of the better space movies we've had in the last 5 years. The only negatives, and it's funny because this is kind of a positive, I liked the music, but I thought it could have been a lot more epic. Like when I look at a movie like Interstellar, part of the reason it's my favorite movie is because of Hans Zimmer's music. That the music in that is so freaking good. And then
once you hire Hans Zimmer, you know it's going to be good music.
It's true, because even as I was watching Dark Phoenix, I'm like, this movie's not very good. But then I'm like, this music rocks, though. And I had no idea it was Hans Zimmer. I was thinking, this is like Hans Zimmer style. But I didn't think it was him because I felt like I would have heard that. And then the credits roll and it says music by Hans Zimmer. I'm like, that makes sense. That's why anytime the music came on, I was like, yes, yeah. I was like, my adrenaline was pumping. But yeah, the music
They need to stop wasting his time with terrible movies.
Yeah, that's kind of true. I don't want him to not do comic book movies because they keep sucking. I mean, I liked Batman v Superman, but it was a critical like failure, and that was the last one he did. And he did Amazing Spider-Man 2. That one didn't do well. Now he did Dark Phoenix. He keeps attaching his name to the worst ones. Anyway, the only other negative thing I had to say about it was that I personally felt like it was too short. I was sitting there going, I could watch another hour of this movie. And Sam and Tyler are looking at me like, if it would have been an hour longer, that would have been an hour longer nap.
Oh man, I was crawling out of my skin. I was looking at my smartwatch like during the movie because I looked at what the runtime was before the movie started.
Yeah.
And I tried not to look at it, but then I finally looked at it and I was like, this movie's halfway over. I couldn't believe it. So yeah, I mean, one of the issues
I'll be right back. I'm so freaking thirsty. I didn't bring water with me. I'll be right back.
Okay. Should I wait? Am I waiting?
No, go on.
Okay. So
rip this movie apart. You know what? Now is a good time for the Lord of the Rings defense.
Okay. it wasn't so much of a defense as just a rebuke of like, you can say as much as you want about The Hobbit because those were kind of crappy, but the Lord of the Rings movies, back off, man. Okay. But no, it's that this movie, the thing that like bugged the crap out of me is because, like you said, Sam, like there were so many parts that just seemed random, like oh, by the way, we have moon pirates. Like it's like they said his whole path, like, oh, you're gonna go to the moon and you're gonna go meet up with these people and then you're gonna go to Mars. Like they set out his like trajectory, right? And then along the way, they're just like, oh yeah, by the way, and this. Oh, and by the way, there's this. And they were like the most interesting parts of the movie. Like there's this land war going on the moon for like fighting over resources and stuff. Like if they would have made that movie just about that and got like more in depth with that, this movie would have been way cooler. But like they had all these like scenes of Brad Pitt just wallowing and saying the same things over, like, I don't have emotions about this, and just kind of like how messed up he is in the head, like his heartbeat never goes over 80 except for when you talk about his dad.
But hang on. The part in the movie where his heartbeat actually goes above 80, you're like, okay, of course they say his heartbeat never goes above 80. That means later on in the movie, his heartbeat will go above 80.
Right.
And I'm like, how high is it going to go? I mean, is it going to go so high he has a heart attack? No, it goes to 88.
Yeah, 88.
Hey, man, he's
like,
controlled. He's got exposure.
That's my resting heart rate normally.
I'm probably at 100 right now because I had to stand up and walk to get water.
Yeah, Max's heart rate's over 88. You just, standing up, you're like,
I had to stand up, man.
I was singing karaoke last night. My heart rate was about 110. I was like, oh my gosh. I would never cut it as an astronaut.
Oh no, I sure wouldn't.
But the thing is, like, it's like, how messed up are you? Like, you're seeing your fellow astronauts blow up. You're falling out of the sky, and your heart rate never goes above 80 the whole time. And then somebody's like, oh, and your dad, and you're like, oh my gosh. And you freak out.
Okay, but like the moment his heart rate went over 80 is after he like bared his soul to his father, and like he could tell that his father said something back, and they refused to tell him. And he hasn't seen his dad in 30-something years, and he just found out his dad's alive and not dead. Like, I think that's fair for him to get emotional. Like, that's the one thing that's emotional.
But I mean, the whole thing was about the whole movie was just about his daddy issues and him going through it. And like, and it was just like, dude, you've got some serious weird daddy issues that have caused you some serious weird problems. And like the whole movie was just about him wallowing about that. And like, it just kept going to these different flashbacks of him like thinking back on his life. And there's only like 2 memories, and they just keep playing them over and over again. And they're just him and his mom looking out a window, or like, like it was, I can't even remember the other one. There was like another one. And it was just like, I just want to rip these from my mind, because like they were completely uninteresting. And they just have Brad Pitt like monologuing about how crappy he feels, and then going back to these memories that are completely uninteresting memories. And it was like an hour of that. Like it was like literally an hour.
I just yawned, and you guys say that the movie made you want to fall asleep. Your negativity is making me want to fall asleep.
That's what the movie was, man. And then you get to these parts that could have been so cool, and they just like barely touch on them. They get to this part, and they're like, oh, by the way, there's a civil war going on, and there's these moon pirates, and you're like, oh, freaking cool. And then there's like 2 seconds of that in the movie, and then they go, oh, all right, well, that's over, and now we're traveling over here. And oh, by the way, there's a space station that does experimentation on animals, and there's this crazed baboon. And then you're like, oh, freaking cool. And then that's like 2 minutes long, and then you're like, okay.
See, this is why
58 minutes. There's an hour and 58 minutes after all the cool parts are over. Taking out all the cool parts, got an hour and 58 minutes of Brad Pitt thinking.
Yeah.
I loved it. It was a very introspective movie. But I was saying that I think that It Chapter 2 and Ad Astra should have swapped runtimes. And maybe if they had swapped runtimes, we could have seen more of that stuff you guys wanted to see.
No, please
No.
I pre-ordered that thing on Vudu today, man. I'm excited to watch that thing in 4K. I really enjoyed it.
Well, there are a lot of critics who thought it was really great. There were also a lot who kind of saw through the kind of... See, my take is, you mentioned the cinematography, and a lot of the critics on Rotten Tomatoes mentioned the cinematography. My take is, shouldn't every movie have good cinematography? Isn't that kind of like just your ticket to ride?
It should, but they don't all don't. They
That's the
they all
minimum
don't.
requirement, is that you should have good cinematography. The story should be central, and the story just kind of fizzled out in the second half. Like, what did the baboon even mean? And I was like, okay, as the movie was shaping up, I was like, okay, so this is kind of like Dante's Inferno, where he has to, the hero has to go through all the different levels of hell to find his lost love and then bring her out of hell. And it's kind of the same idea. You have the son going into the underworld to find his dad, and along the way, there's all these little death traps that he has to negotiate. And each death trap is supposed to reflect something else about his own psyche. But that's not what happened here. It's just random occurrences. Also, if you're going to be in space, don't shoot a gun in your spaceship. That's a terrible idea.
Yeah,
There's
I agree with
much
that.
Like, they're killing themselves with their bad aim. They're like, pew, pew, and then they miss, and then they end up dying. It's so stupid.
Okay, I had some questions though. Like, so he's sneaking onto this spaceship, right? Like,
Yeah.
So he gets like kicked out of the mission. He has to sneak onto the spaceship at the end, and he's like, "You won't make it there without me," right?
Yeah.
What was the exact reason why they wouldn't make it there? Was it just because that other captain was kind of a crappy pilot, or like what was his reasoning behind like you won't make it there without me?
I think it was because of the connection to his dad. That's what I took it as. Like you won't succeed in this mission without me.
But even with him going there, his dad still shot him with the electrical thing.
Yeah, I don't think he realized how unreceptive his dad would be to him.
Also,
So those 4 people just died.
Yeah, they did for no reason.
For no
Other than
reason.
Brad Pitt oopsed his way into killing them. Also, what?
I love the way you said that.
Like what is the plan? They're gonna blow up a bunch of antimatter with a nuclear bomb? Is that even a good idea? Like isn't that gonna just make things worse? I don't know much about antimatter, but I hear it's pretty volatile stuff, and lighting a nuclear bomb under it seems like a really terrible idea.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know about antimatter either, and I don't know about the nuke thing, but if that's the plan,
Not a good plan.
I don't feel like he had really any reason to be like, "You're not going to get there unless I come." You know, like
So stupid. It's so stupid. I can't believe you like this movie, Max. It's so dumb.
I really enjoyed it. Granted, I have to be honest, your guys' critiques, some of them are valid, and now my score that I was originally going to do has gone down just a little bit. So let's give our scores. I'll go last.
All right, I give it a 2 out of 5.
that's exactly what I was going to say. 2 out of 5.
All right, I give it a 5 out of 5 minus 1.
And I have to say, that because I didn't really say anything good about the movie, I do agree that the music and the cinematography and some of the scenes just were really really cool, but they were just such a small part of the movie that it made the rest of the movie was just so hard to watch. You know, like the parts where like the part where he makes the shield from the antenna from the ship and he flies through Neptune's, the little rocks around Neptune. That part was awesome. and the part where his like dune buggy is like flipping into the crater and stuff, like those were cool, super well done scenes. But they were just such a small part of the movie that it didn't make it significant enough to make it not hard to watch the rest of the time. So
Fair
but
enough.
that's why I give it a 2, is because there were some cool things about the movie. Otherwise, if it didn't have those few scenes that were really cool, it would have been rock bottom for me.
Yeah, I agree with you, Tyler.
Well, I was originally going to give it a 4 out of 5 couch cushions and a throw pillow, but you guys did bring up some valid points, and I was like, yeah, that's fair. I'm going to knock it down. Knock it down 1. All right, well, let's move into our last segment. We're going to do a throwback here. So for longtime listeners, you'll know we used to do top 5 lists nearly every show. They were a lot of fun, but we just decided for pacing reasons we wouldn't do them as often anymore and kind of simplify our show, which has been great. But this week, in honor of Batman Day, we decided we'd bring that segment back. And so without further ado, let's go ahead and get into that. We'll start with number 5. Each of us will give our number 5, and we'll go up the list until we get to our favorite Batman moments of all time. So,
okay.
Tyler?
I didn't order mine in any particular order.
Oh.
So, but I'll figure it out. So,
all right, well, then we'll let you go first, Tyler.
Like when you're at Applebee's on the moon and they try to get your order and you're not ready. So just come back.
So my number 5 is actually a Superman moment. So it's in the 90s cartoon when Superman dresses up as Batman, and he goes and he just like all of the Batman's villains decided to team up and attack Batman at once, but it ended up being Superman. He just beat the crap out of him in like 2 seconds.
That was a great episode.
That's my number 5 for my favorite Batman moment. Is when
That's a good one.
All right, I think I'm ready.
You ready? All right, go ahead.
All right, so my number 5 comes from Batman '89, Michael Keaton, and there's a scene where Joker grabs his lackey by the shoulder and he says, well, Jack Palance had earlier done this to Jack Nicholson in the movie, but then Joker does it to his number 1 guy later on, and he goes, "You are my number 1 guy."
Me and my brothers quote that all the time.
I was just, Tyler, you need to say it because I always base my quote off of yours.
You are my number 1 guy.
Yes, that's what I was waiting for, is the part. A guy. Because I'm pretty sure he does say it like that.
Yeah.
A guy. Yeah. That is a good moment. It's been a long time since I've seen some of the older Batman movies, so I unfortunately didn't put any of those in my top 5.
I thought we were only doing like actual like Batman moments, but I didn't realize we were extending onto like.
This is always how it goes. All of mine are Batman moments, but anytime we did top 5 in the past, someone would take liberties, and that's fine.
And that's cool. And I probably would have.
Batman movie. Why is that not a Batman moment?
Well, Batman's not in the scene.
It's still his movie. His name's on the title.
Yeah, I know. And it's
all good.
I totally accept that. I was just saying I would have also had that if.
I see. You're mad that I stole it from you.
No, it was just
you wouldn't have put.
I agree with you. That's one of my favorite Batman moments.
Then your favorite one, Tyler, probably would have been "You Ever Danced with the Devil in the Pale Moonlight."
Okay, we need to continue on.
That's already on the list. You're getting ahead of us there, man.
Oh, I was just guessing. I honestly was. All right. Okay. I'm going to give my number 5. This comes from the Batman Rebirth series. I have not read a ton of comics in general, but I have read a good chunk of Batman Rebirth. And there's this scene that I freaking love where there's a plane falling out of the sky. Batman gets in his Batmobile and like ejects out of it, flies up on top of the plane and has all the right gadgets, of course, because Batman always has all the right gadgets. And he like straps ropes to this freaking thing, and using his gadgets from the outside of the plane, he stops this thing and saves everybody's lives.
Where does he get all these?
Bad A, man. Batman is so cool. That's a really cool moment.
James, it's like a James Bond GoldenEye diving into a flying airplane type James Bond moment where it defies physics. That's great.
Yeah, this is like the opposite of Homelander from The Boys in his plane scene. All right. Anyone in the chat, feel free to chime in with some of your favorite Batman moments.
Speaking of the chat, let's give a shout out to Quantum Kyle, who's still following us since Comic-Con.
Quantum Kyle.
Hey, Quantum Kyle, stay strong, man. Keep your nose clean.
All right, well, let's go to number 4. What do you got, Tyler?
Number 4, in Christian Bale's trilogy, I loved the training with Liam Neeson.
Okay.
That was some of my favorite, becoming Batman story, and obviously Liam Neeson's awesome. I just always loved that part of it and how they did it and kind of like showed the philosophy that they kind of like brought out later in the movie and how things came about and I don't know. That whole part was really cool to me.
Nice. What about you, Sam?
All right, so my next one. All right, there's a bit of a theme here, but the next one for me, it comes from the Adam West series. Batman and the Joker have a surfing contest for the soul of Gotham.
Oh, that's right. Oh man, so good, and yet so bad.
Yeah, I mean, there was
Adam West stuff is so goofy.
Well, yeah, it's very campy.
Shark repellent.
It was very campy, but there was an episode of The Batman where they made a point that as dark as Batman has gotten, the Adam West series is still as much a part of Batman's history as any of the other stuff. So I think I would be remiss if I didn't mention Batman and Joker surfing for Gotham's future, or the Batusi, or that brave dolphin that gave its life for Gotham City, sacrificed itself to save Batman.
Corbin says Gotham by Gaslight is in his top 10. That's a good one. Matt says shark repellent. Somehow I had like the chat like scrolled up and I didn't realize there were new chats, so I missed a lot of stuff. I was like, man, no one said anything in a while.
Well,
and I was confused why you were saying Quantum Kyle. There it is, Quantum Kyle. I'm going to add his chat there so you guys can see. What's up, guys? Quantum Kyle here. We don't need to see Tyler's face.
Hey, speak for yourself.
All right, we're on me, right? Okay. My number 4 is when Batman beats Superman in The Dark Knight Returns. Freaking love that moment. It is so cool to see Batman's ingenuity and how he uses his opponent's weaknesses. Now, I think Batman without prep would lose to Superman, obviously, but here's the thing. Batman's always prepared. And I love that moment where he takes Superman down. I think that's a really, really cool moment. And I know Frank Miller has often called a Superman hater, but I don't care. It's a really cool scene.
And you know what, though? Superman's always called the Boy Scout. What's the Boy Scout motto?
Be prepared.
He's always prepared too, my friend. So,
well, he lost. I mean, he got his butt beaten Batman v Superman, too.
Yeah, he did. It's true.
Which is based on The Dark Knight Returns, so of course he was going to.
Yeah.
What's your number 3?
My number 3 is, and I did not hate on this as much as most people did. I actually liked the movie, but Justice League. So, like all of the superheroes kind of have their own little intro in the beginning of Justice League. And Batman's is when he's chasing down a criminal and he's kind of like toying with him. And the criminal's like, what do you want? And he says, your fear. Because he's trying to lure in one of the bugs because he knows that they're attracted by fear. And I just thought that was like the coolest like little intro to like, here's Batman. He's back and he's being BA, like I just thought that was a really cool scene. Your fear. It's like, oh, Okay.
No, I agree. I really like that
I love
scene.
that.
Kyle says the new season of Titans is awesome so far, and I'm going to interrupt the show to say yes, I agree, because none of my fellow crunchers watch it, and it drives me nuts. Kyle, we need to have you on the show just so you and I can talk about it, because I haven't had anybody to talk to about the show.
Kyle has a foul mouth. Kyle has a terrible foul mouth. We don't want him on the. We don't want him on
He's fine.
We're family friendly.
He's been on the show before. Kyle's fine. Whatever. We'll just rate that show TV mature. It's all right. Or whatever. Explicit. That's how podcasts are rated. Anyway. All right. So what was your Sam? Number 3.
My number 3 is Chris O'Donnell saying, "Holy rusted metal, Batman." You know, that's I think that was Batman and Robin. The
Batman and Robin, yeah.
And that's a callback to, again,
Adam West, though. Yeah.
And Burt Ward would always say that to Adam West. "Holy something, Batman." And
yeah.
And I thought that was a great moment. The campiness is irritating, and it's kind of ridiculous at times, but it's really easy to have a lot of fun with the campy stuff too.
Corbin says that one was from Batman Forever.
Batman Forever,
Batman Forever. It was a Val Kilmer one. I feel like we're on the same page a lot here, Sam, because that one almost made my list also.
Holy rusted metal.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, then we'll go to me. Batman interrogates the Joker in the Dark Knight. Love that moment. Such a cool one. And I love how Heath Ledger's Joker interacts with Batman in that when he smacks his head down on the table and he's immediately saying, "You never start with the head. It makes everything so fuzzy." And it's just a really good interaction, how he's throwing him around the room and Joker is just like messing with him. And excuse me, I just love the Joker. A lot of people say that they're tired of seeing the Joker and that there's more interesting Batman villains out there. While I'm very interested in seeing other Batman villains, Joker is the most interesting Batman villain in my book. He is the best Batman villain. And this moment is one of those moments that showcases why. He's so freaking good. And their interaction is just stellar. I mean, The Dark Knight is hailed as one of the best comic book movies ever made. And this scene is a big part of why.
Yeah, for sure. It was really good. Okay. This one's another one that I have quoted a lot in the past with some of my friends. Just kind of.
I see the way you wrote this on here, and I love it. I'm going to let you say it, though. I'm already laughing.
We'll have to take turns doing our best impression.
Yes,
I'm really excited for this.
So, yeah, because it was the Batman voice for Christian Bale was obviously not the best voice, and so there's the part where he kind of tells what's her name, Katie Holmes,
Rachel Dawes.
Yeah, Rachel Dawes. He basically tells her who he is by quoting himself earlier.
Quoting her.
Oh, quoting her. Yeah, he quotes her from earlier, what she said to him. And he's like, "It's not what I do inside, it's not who I am inside, but it's what I do that defines me." You know? Like, he just says the word "do." Long and predominantly, it just sounded so ridiculous. But
that is a great moment. I love that.
Very quotable.
That's what I do.
It's not who I am. It's what I do.
You were very good at that, Sam.
Yeah, I keep meaning to do a breakout of when he did this voice like a month ago. I just feel like I need to do a breakout video of just that. It was freaking good. Oh, man. Yeah, that's a good moment, though. It is goofy, but it's good.
That's my number 2. Very quotable is what I say.
Yeah,
very. Right. So my number 2, again, I'm going back. This is more about Joker than it is Batman, but I think they go hand in hand. I think it's okay. We'll go
Joker's
to the
like the antithesis of Batman.
But I watched The Dark Knight 5 times in the theaters.
Wow.
And it was because of the Joker. And I think it was probably my 3rd. I kept going back. I was so intrigued by the fact that every time he told someone about how he got his scars, it was a different story.
Oh, yeah.
And I found that so fascinating. It's so intriguing. It's like, why would he tell one person one thing and then tell the other person the other thing? And I finally realized that he doesn't even, either he doesn't know or it doesn't matter how he got his scars. He's just lying to people. He's lying to everybody. And that is so trippy. Like, he's trying to garner some sympathy with these scar stories, but they're lies. So any sympathy you give him is phony.
Yeah.
He's getting it through lies. And I found that so fascinating. I kept going back to rewatch it and see if I could figure out the nuance there. And it was all just manipulating the people that were listening to it. And I was like, oh man, it's so evil. He's so evil.
And you know what? That gave his character so much depth, because you knew that the way that he got his scars was very traumatic, but he was not going to share what actually happened with anybody, but he was going to use that to kind of make his pain from that situation become the fear that he puts into other people.
The reality is he probably did it to himself just because he's a psycho, but he loved to see the sympathy that people would have. And then that sympathy turned to absolute terror as he was turning whatever experience he was relating onto his victim.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, and Grizzled Geek says that the Joker background needs to be mysterious. We don't need a background for him because it makes him more interesting and scary. And I think The Dark Knight does a good job of that because, like you said, Sam, he's just lying to everybody.
Yeah.
We don't know his true background. And like you said, he may have given those scars to himself. And that's also one of the things I love about this Joker is that he has those scars. Not that all the Jokers actually have scars, but like
scars.
Yeah, though it's really cool and it looks like terrifying. And the Joker's supposed to be terrifying and kind of jarring. So, yeah, no, you want to know how I got these scars? I can't do an impersonation like him. But anyway. All right, well, my number 2 comes from the Arkham Knight video game. And because I'm the gamer guy, my first thought was like mostly video game moments from the Arkham games. And then I'm like, no, I should vary it up. And when I thought about it more, I realized that not all of my favorite moments were from the games. But my number 2 is... And Arkham Knight isn't even my favorite of the 3. I think Arkham City is still my favorite. But Arkham Knight has some really cool moments. And there's one in particular where at the end of... I'm sorry, you're getting spoilers, but it's like 10-year-old game now at this point. At the end of Arkham City, the Joker dies. And at the beginning of Arkham Knight, that's still the case. And then all of a sudden, there's this moment about 5 hours into the game when Batman sees the Joker. And he's like hallucinating him, you think. And well, not you think, he's hallucinating him, but the Joker's there. And as a fan, because Mark Hamill does the voice and he does such a fantastic job, and they also wrote the character very well for those games, you're excited. You're like, yes, the Joker's in this. And they did it well because he's still dead. He's just in Batman's head. And that moment in particular when he sees him the first time, along with just in general, when he's basically the Joker's with Batman the rest of the game. And it is so cool. Like, it is so cool to have Joker there in your head the entire game. Like, he comments on things that you're doing, and then at the end, like, you basically become the Joker because Batman's been infected with his blood, and like you kind of almost become the Joker for a minute in your head, and you get to play as the Joker doing the killing joke. Those moments with Batman and the Joker are so freaking cool, and that's why they're my number 2.
Was he like a Force ghost?
No.
Oh.
No.
Okay.
All right, well, let's get to your number 1, Tyler.
My number 1 is...
All right, I'm going to put this up on the screen, so I'm going to do that again with our faces.
So this is something that I quote with my brother, so also very quotable. But it's when Joker kills Batman's parents, Michael Keaton version, and when Batman kills Joker, they say the same things. So the end of the movie, when Batman kills Joker, he says, "Have you ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight?" because that's what the Joker says to his parents. So my brothers and I say that all the time to each other, just kind of randomly. And we'll just be like, hey, man, I got a quick question. Have you ever danced with the devil in the Batman? And so it just kind of randomly
And then you
comes
jump
up.
out of the back and you push him off a building.
Yeah, pretty much. So that's my number one Batman moment, just because I've got that connection with my brothers. We quote that all the time.
All right, that's a good one. What about you, Sam?
Oh, I just love the iconic Batman the Animated Series. Sorry about that. Batman the Animated Series opening theme with the Danny Elfman Batman theme song. Dun dun. You got the lightning flash in the back, and it shows the Batman silhouette, and and then then there's the explosions, the Batmobile, and all the stuff's happening all at the same time.
Yeah, that theme is amazing. Which why when they have it slightly in Justice League, that was one of the better parts.
That
of
was
that
so
movie.
awesome. That was so awesome. I love that. I love the callbacks to that Danny Elfman theme song.
Well, and like when we had the days when you wake up early to watch cartoons and you have to like be there at a certain time to catch your show, and that opening scene comes on and you're like, yes, it's starting. Like that was so yeah. Having an epic intro like that, like X-Men did awesome with that as well. Like the 90s X-Men cartoon, such an epic intro. So yeah, totally, I'm with you on that, Sam.
Yeah, it's a freaking good theme. And until I saw your notes, Sam, I didn't even think about that one. But yeah, just like that, it's a moment you get every single episode, but it's incredible and it's so memorable. The X-Men theme, the Batman theme, Spider-Man's theme, Superman's theme, like those are iconic. Which again, they used Superman's theme in Justice League, and it was really cool. Like that was another really cool moment. Well, let's get into mine. It's no secret here that I love Batman v Superman, and I guess I just have this streak of liking movies others don't, because I like that Astra, and these two have bad taste. My favorite is the Batman warehouse scene in Batman v Superman. Holy crap. So my number 2 moment was from Batman Arkham series. Well, I love his fighting style in that. It is so cool. And I felt like the Batman warehouse scene was the first time we really got to see a good martial arts Batman on live action. Like that was an amazing scene. And I'm going to change our cameras again, Tyler. Sorry I'm blocking your face, but I'm having a hard time staying in frame in that other.
This one makes me want to do Brady Bunch, like
look up at each other. I guess that's true. Which way do I have to look? This way. I have to look this way. Hey, Sam.
Hey.
Hey, Tyler.
Over here.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, getting the angles right. Anyway, that warehouse scene is so amazing. I mean, I think most people agree, and tell me if you guys disagree, but that is a really cool scene. Like, whether you hate Batman v Superman or not, that scene is pretty legit. Wouldn't you guys agree?
First off, I don't hate Batman v Superman. I hate Lex Luthor in Batman v Superman. But I really enjoy that scene in particular. I don't know that I would. I mean, hey, you put it at your number 1. That's fine. That's fine, man. I think I would have swapped your Joker versus Batman in The Dark Knight in the interrogation scene as the number 1. But
yeah,
I'm with you. I'm with you.
I said last, I think it was the Fast and Furious episode when we talked about Hobbs and Shaw. I said on that episode that I rate action movies by like the adrenaline pumping feeling I get out of the action sequences, where I'm just like, whoa, like if I get really excited. And every time I watch that warehouse scene, I get that feeling. And so from an action standpoint, it's my favorite scene. You, Sam, focus very much on story, which is awesome. I focus a lot. I mean, story is really important to me. I mean, I've written a book. Like, I like story, obviously. But I love action sequences for movies especially. And so in that regard, I think that's why this is my favorite moment rather than like a story beat type thing.
Oh, cool. No, I get it. I dig it.
And I'm with you, Max. It's one of the coolest fight scenes in Batman cinema, I think. And I don't hate Batman versus Superman either. There was
I know.
just a bunch of things that really bugged me about it, but overall, like, I still enjoyed watching the movie. But I hate Superman in Batman vs Superman, and he's like my favorite. So
I'm gonna grab something to show on screen here.
But yeah, that was such a cool fight scene.
All right. Sorry. Figure we're talking about Batman, so I'm going to show a few more of my Batman things. If you're watching the video, you can see behind me I've got, sorry for the audio issues here with me moving around, but you can see I've got a Batman poster behind me that's really cool. You probably were seeing this one as well, but I'm going to make myself bigger. No, that didn't do it. Here we go. So I love, whoa, look at that. It's like reflecting my screen. Anyway, this poster is really cool. If you guys can see it, I really enjoy it.
Who did that?
Poster.
Who did that artwork?
I'm honestly not sure. I bought it at the Phoenix Comic Con. There was an artist there.
Well, shout out to that guy, whoever he is.
Yeah, sorry. I wish I could remember. He made money off of me, though. And then this is just a classic Batman artwork. You know, you can buy this at pretty much any Hobby Lobby or whatever. But I realized when I was buying all my art for my office that, man, I really like Batman stuff because I've got a crap ton of Batman stuff in my office. But yeah, I wish I knew. It's probably Bowie is what it says on the art here. I don't know.
There you go.
Anyway, but yeah, I just wanted to bring that up before we end because I just like showing off my Batman artwork. At any rate, thank you for joining me, guys, tonight. That'll do it for us. Those were our top 5 Joker. Well, some of them were Joker moments. Top 5 Batman moments. Let us know in the comments what yours are if you're watching this video after it's live, or on the website if you're listening. Just let us know. We'd love to hear your top 5 Batman moments. Anyway, as usual, please check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Couch Crunchers. Go to the website, couchcrunchers.com. We love writing articles, putting them up there. We love when you guys read them, share them. And whatever podcast platform you're listening to us on, please go give us a review, preferably 5-star. I mean, that's better. But we encourage you to be honest. But if it is negative, maybe just message us directly. But anyway, those reviews really help to kind of get us up in the rankings on these podcast services and get our name out there. We appreciate your guys' support. Those of you that come and tune in live every single time, we really appreciate you guys. We're excited next week, or not next week, but 2 weeks from now on our next show, we're going to be having Matt from Absolute Geek on the show. And that's exciting. We're going to be talking about Joker, so look forward to that. And Matt was saying in the comments that he wants to talk about Titans, and I'm very excited about that because I seriously love that show as well as the DC Universe stuff, and I've been trying to give these guys my password so they can watch stuff, and they still aren't taking me up on it. I just really want to talk about it, so I'm excited. Be looking forward to some Titans talk next week, and then I just started setting this up today. The week after that, figure we'll let you guys know too. We're gonna have another guy on. We can't give you all the details yet. Yeah, good night, Grizzled Geek. Thanks for tuning in. We're going to have a guy on October 19th where Sam and he are going to kind of have like a movie mechanic battle, essentially. We're going to pick a movie for Sam that Sam has done before, or if he picks to do a new one, we haven't ironed that out yet. But we're going to pick a movie to talk about and dissect. And this guy that we're having on also does he also does kind of a similar thing where he dissects movies, and we're going to kind of just have them give their own takes on what they would do better. And we're excited for that one. So anyway, that'll do it for us. So until next time, nerds out.
I really hope